O'Neill and her husband Mike both say they wrote checks with insufficient funds as they were moving from Florida to Michigan. It was a mistake, but letters and phone calls soon followed.
They told me that they were a part of the Attorney General's office.
In California, 21-year-old Jennifer Osborne wrote a check to her college bookstore. Her math, she says, was wrong.
Well, I called them and I said, what's going on? And they basically told me that I had to pay all the money and go to the class or I'd be arrested.
She got this letter with the district attorney's official seal on the letterhead. Mike O'Neill thought this phone call was from the state's attorney's office in Florida.
20th Judicial State's Attorney Bad Check Restitution Program. Our office has an official matter requiring your immediate attention.
But none of the letters or calls were from local prosecutors. They came from a private debt collection agency named ACCS, a Southern California firm hired by about 150 district attorneys' offices across the nation to collect bad checks.
They're renting the prosecutor's seal, and they're using that name and authority to collect bad check debt.
The fees are large. Mike O'Neill says he wrote a $14 bad check to a CVS drugstore in Florida. That cost him $285.
They make you feel like a criminal. They try to scare you. They use, again, scare tactics, harassment, everything. And, you really take a look at it and they're like, is seriously the Attorney General of Florida after me for a $14 return check?
The company splits the collection fees with prosecutors, then, as part of its contract with local DAs, requires even more. Mike O'Neill and Jennifer Osborne had to take the company's money management class. The fee, $160, all of it going to ACCS.
What was that like?
It was boring. It was pointless.
The watchdog group Public Citizen filed class action lawsuits against ACCS for deceptive debt collection practices, claiming that you really only need to pay the fee to those classes. You don't even have to show up.
ACCS doesn't really care about these classes, about teaching people how to balance their checkbooks. It's really about collecting the fees.
And those classes are required under some state laws. In court filings, ACCS says the classes are successful in preventing repeat offenders, and the company denied deceptive practices. But the firm would not talk to CNN on camera, suggesting we talk to local prosecutors instead. So we did.
This particular function is something that we can legally outsource to another company who's experienced in doing this.
Sharon Matsumoto runs the program for the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office. Last year, she says, ACCS collected $2 million on 80,000 bad checks. She says without the private contract, the DA's office could have never gotten that money back to merchants. She hasn't heard any complaints, and neither has Massachusetts Congressman Barney Frank.
This is the first anybody has called to my attention.
It was Frank who helped change the law, allowing private debt collectors to work for local prosecutors, something the prosecutors wanted.
The way this had been represented to us, this was as an alternative to criminal prosecution. So I would be surprised if someone was going to be criminally prosecuted for one check of just a few dollars.
That is why Jennifer Osborne was so surprised and scared when she was threatened with jail if she didn't pay up. Pay up the $360 ACCS was asking for that $92 check she bounced at the campus bookstore. An honest mistake, she says, that she tried to immediately fix.
I'm disappointed in the system. It shouldn't have happened.
The government should not be in business with a private collection agency.
Not at all. It just should not happen that way.
Drew Griffin, CNN, Santa Barbara, California.
Perhaps part of the moral is that the Congress should quit working for the banking industry itself. By the way, ACCS itself recently filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, only a day before a judge in Florida was to have handed down a ruling on that class action lawsuit against the company. That, of course, puts the case on hold. Congressman Frank told me on my radio show earlier today that the law he helped pass needs to be looked into.